Greetings, people. Good day. This is Supratim. I'm the vocalist and lyricist of the metal act Frag Rack, and I'm thankful for this opportunity here to connect with you all and spend a few moments talking about music in general, metal music to be more specific, and the general hardships that an independent metal musician has to face on this day and the impacts of the ongoing pandemic. So, just to get started, I'm pretty sure that most of the people I'm able to reach out to right now have vaguely heard of the term rock and roll or heavy metal music. It's usually that form of music which gets labeled as aggressive, loud, and noisy. But if you look at the intent behind creating this music, if you look at the connection that this music has with its audience base, it is intense and it makes a lot of sense because metal or rock and roll in general deals with certain topics or aspects that is usually averted by other happier or lighter forms of music. So it kind of gives you that intimate connection. Which is the reason why metal down the years have always managed to keep a steady fan base. It has been steady, definitely. It hasn't been a phase, unlike what most people think it is. But and it's only grown over the years, right? Metal has evolved to what it started off from, and to this day it has brought so many diverse elements just as a form of music, and the steady fan base, it has been remarkable. The reason why I'm going over all of this is because just to show the importance of getting together as a band and jamming together to come up with new and original music, which has been the only aspect missing since the onslaught of this ongoing pandemic. But yeah, it hasn't been an easy journey. It hasn't been a tough one as well. Like, uh, we are right now working on our third full length album, and much before the start of the pandemic, we actually had to start off writing music remotely because all the band members had to move over from New Delhi to other parts of India just to pursue their main careers. And that kind of, kicked off our phase of writing for the third album a couple of years back when there was no situation as the pandemic is right now. But anyway, yeah, so vaguely did we know that it's gonna remain like this. We just had plans of moving out, keep continuing to write music, collaborate together online remotely. And then we thought that when we would approach the closure of the album, or somewhat when we have covered 70-80% of the composition, we would get together back again in one common place and then wrap up the remaining part of it. Well, that never happened because of obvious reasons. Like right now, we are even having to work across different time zones, across different countries. But the I'm thankful because of the fact that we have technology to this day that's enabling us to still come up with ways of composing music. Um, there are platforms and guitar softwares which helps you transcribe notes, and then once one of the members have seedlings of idea, the other members kind of work on it and elaborate on that, and that kind of expands the whole song structure. It sounds easy, but it takes a lot of time, especially when the guys are not together. I mean, putting aside all the technology that is present today, I'm pretty sure most of musicians or independent musicians would rather or gladly prefer the old school approach of sitting down together in a room, just jamming out and coming up with new music, because it kind of gets the flow going. You kind of feel the vibes, and coming up with music sounds more natural in that way rather than having people working on a piece of a song at different points of time with different mindsets. It definitely helps you keep moving, but the only drawback I would say is the amount of time and the amount of energy that goes in to come up with a concrete end product, right? So it doesn't mean that when you're writing music remotely, you're able to finish off a song in a set period of time. You never know how long it's gonna take. Sometimes it takes as long as months, couple of months to finish one structure. It's just because the mindset isn't the same as having all people at the same line in one common space jamming out, like I mentioned. Uh, the other aspects which kind of creep in with remote music writing is self doubt. That's a real danger, and that's very practical because unless you're altogether feeling the music that you're writing, it often appears that it sounds forced. I mean, personally, I'm not in favor of coming up with something that I don't feel personally, I don't feel that it's impressive. So when you're alone writing music, waiting for the other members to collaborate on something, the factor of self doubt and whether or not it's sounding good or how better it's gonna sound going forward, all these things are just thrown in the dark. So you get what I mean, like the confidence that comes with writing music together as a part of the band, that's really missing. The other evil, I would say, is lack of motivation. It's really hard for one musician to motivate oneself as compared to having two or three band members motivating each other naturally while jamming together in a common space. So that lack of motivation kind of delays things more. And on top of that, the self-doubt on whether or not this sounds good or bad. All of these things combined, it kind of takes away from the whole intent and essence of coming up with natural sounding metal music. You don't want to come up with a song structure that sounds forced or artificial or kind of pieced together out of different puzzles. And so it has to sound natural. It has to flow smoothly and give you that expressive natural feel. But anyway, if you put aside the hardships, what's the real worth of still holding on and still coming up with your own music in the face of all these hardships? If you ask us how we were able to overcome these situations, well, the fact is we haven't been able to, but we are able to think of ways or devise plans just to lessen the trouble a bit. Like I said, metal music has always been really connective with the audience. We feel what we play, the audience love what they listen to, and they can connect to it. So it has always been there. So if you're sad, it uplifts your mood. If you're angry, it helps you express yourself. You know, be it any situation you're in, metal music has always been a very cathartic form of venting or expressing your emotions, which has always been therapeutic to say the least. So when I listen to music today, sitting inside a house under lockdown conditions, it helps me, or it helps make my day a bit better. It makes yourself feel lighter. You feel good. That's the whole point of music. So just coming up with new music in the face of all this present hardship, it's just know the fact that maybe someday or going forward, this piece of music that you take so much pain in coming up with, it's gonna help someone somewhere. It's gonna help make someone's day better somewhere. And I think that's the whole worth or value of holding on to it and still going through. So the other trouble is not every metal musician is backed by a commercial music label. There isn't much financial incentive or encouragement to come up with some new music. So it's mostly driven by our self motivation, which is obviously not available always. So, but you got to realize that we're doing this for ourselves. If, let's say, a decade back, if something had excited us or, had motivated us to pick up an instrument, it is because of this form of rock and roll or heavy metal. So we picked up the instrument because we loved it and it helped us express ourselves. And now, at some point, if a musician has overcome that that bottleneck of confidence or comfort with the instrument, they are now able to come up with their own creation. I mean, that's just giving back to the music at the end of the day. So metal has always helped us, and today, by picking up an instrument and making yourself capable in order to come up with original metal music, you're just giving back to the community. So my advice, or my message to our fellow struggling independent musicians, be it metal or any form of music, is just go for it. Let's just do it, and let's just get our stuff out there, because like I mentioned, it's definitely gonna make someone's day. And I think that's the least that we owe to the form of music. Think of ways how you can motivate yourself. Talk to your bandmates more. It definitely helps, um, over the phone or whichever means possible. Motivate each other, push each other, and definitely come up with something if you do have the capacity. The best thing that we can do at this point for ourselves is, channel that energy that you have, focus on your creative outputs, and just come up with the album, and or any song or any piece that you're working on. Just give it the closure that it deserves, no matter how long it takes. And there's definitely a silver lining at the end of every cloud. The only way from here is onwards and upwards. We, like I said, metal has seen through the years, it has overcome the obstacles of time, and this is just another checkpoint. I think on the other side, what awaits us is definitely a much more brighter and optimistic future for metal music or music in general, and that can only be achieved by our patience and our perseverance in this tough phase. All speaking about this is so much easier, definitely, but doing this takes a lot of nerves, which is what rock and roll music is all about, I guess. So, yeah, keep rocking, and let's come out on the other side as a victor. Cheers, take care.